Vice President-elect Kamala Harris made a campaign stop in Georgia Monday before returning to Washington to vote on the coronavirus relief bill. Harris held a rally for Senate runoff candidates Raphael, Warnock, and John Ossoff. She urged supporters to turn out at the ballot box and to combat any efforts of voter suppression.
They are born out of this election cycle when people tried to silence and suppress you. But they were triumphant. They were born out of this election cycle when people dared to try and have us count 3 times your vote. And they are here to tell the story. They are born out of a moment when people dared from other states like Texas to recall your vote and your voice. But they live to tell the story. They are strong. They have survived these games people are playing because they are the strong voices of the people of this state.
Georgia is already seeing record turnout. Republicans and Democrats both say the fate of the nation's politics rests on the results. Republican incumbent Senators David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler are defending their seats. The twin races will determine control of the Senate under the new Biden administration. Greg Bluestein is a political reporter for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, and he joins me now. Greg, welcome. Great to have you with us. Tell us more about Vice President-elect Harris's message today.
Yeah, no pressure to Georgia. Just like so many other high-profile politicians, her message to Georgia was that the fate of Joe Biden's agenda rests on these runoff votes on January 5th, that without Democrats flipping control of the U.S. Senate, Joe Biden won't be able to push a more robust coronavirus relief package, an expansion of voting rights, a criminal justice overhaul, all sorts of other top priorities for the Democratic ticket won't be able to be achieved if Democrats don't win these 2 Senate seats in just a few weeks.
And what is happening on the ground there? We know that in-person early voting began a week ago, mail-in ballots before that. What do we know about the ballots cast so far?
Yeah, we're seeing a tremendous surge in early voting for a runoff in Georgia. We're seeing presidential levels or near presidential levels. About 1.5 million people have already cast their ballots in Georgia. We're not sure if that pace will continue. Certainly, we expect it to slow down this week, Christmas week. But the fact that so many voters are casting their ballots early reflects that Georgians realize just how high the stakes are in this election. Georgians are not sitting this one out. We're only off a few percentage points, really, from November election early voting turnout compared to the same time in late October. So that's astounding to close political watchers here in Georgia.
Yeah, that is interesting because some were predicting a certain amount of fatigue that doesn't seem to be manifesting itself right now. Now, while the progress on another economic relief package is certainly welcome news, lawmakers in Washington are, of course, facing criticism for taking 8 months to get it done. How is this factoring into what we're hearing or not hearing from Senate candidates there in Georgia?
Yeah, what we're seeing right now is a blame game. Democrats are upset that Republicans, in their view, sat on the bill for 8 months, depriving Georgians of much-needed relief. Republicans are pointing the finger right back at Democrats, saying that they pushed an aggressive coronavirus relief package earlier and to no avail because they're blaming Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, the 2 legislative leaders in Congress for Democrats, for blocking the measure. So you're seeing a finger pointing down, on the ranks of just rank and file Georgians. They don't care who's to blame. They just want that relief. And there is a lot of angst here that it's not as much as many Georgians expected. We're talking about $600 direct payment checks instead of $1,200 direct payment checks that some Georgians expected.
And you and your colleagues recently wrote, quote, "When it comes to the question of contesting President-elect Joe Biden's election victory in Congress, Senator David Perdue is trying to have it both ways." So explain what you mean by that.
Yeah, this is very bizarre, but on January 6th, the day after the runoff, there is a push in the U.S. House to contest Joe Biden's victory. It won't go anywhere. Legal experts say it has no chance of succeeding, but there's still going to be that push. What we haven't seen yet is a senator who is out there saying that they will back this. Senator-elect Tuberville said he might, but in Georgia, it's very nuanced because David Perdue actually leaves office on January 3rd. Even if he wins, his term expires January 3rd, so he won't be in office on January 6th. Even if he wins the election until it's certified, which could take weeks. So in the interim, he's telling supporters that he will back this push, even though the reality is he won't be in office to vote on a formal challenge of President-elect Biden's victory. So that's where we wrote he's trying to have it both ways, because he's sending the signal to Trump supporters that he'll do this thing that he simply can't do because he won't be in office to do it.
Very interesting. And Greg, compared to the general election, polling has seemingly all but disappeared from the Georgia Senate runoffs. Why is that? I mean, we know that polling has not had a great day in the sun recently, but explain to us what is replacing polling.
Yeah, in Georgia, the polls actually were very reflective of the outcome. Pretty much every poll, except for one or two outliers, showed that the race was going to be deadlocked in Georgia. And of course, it kind of was. Joe Biden only won the state by about 12,000 votes. But it's so hard to poll during this holiday break. So many Georgians are tuned out. They're going out of town. They're visiting family. They're turning down the temperature and not watching TV as much. And so it's been real hard for pollsters to get an accurate read of the electorate. The few polls that we've seen show a close race. And that's kind of where we're thinking, is that this is going to be a very, very close race, that even the most reliable poll will show it within the margin of error. So it's hard to read too much into these polls. And also the turnout levels are going to be the key determinant here, because you can have all sorts of polls that show different things, but what really matters is what that turnout looks like. Is it going to be is it going to be a presidential level turnout like we're seeing right now, or seeing hints of, or be a slightly lower turnout? And how that could affect the two tickets will really factor into these contests.
So if we have historic turnout and incredibly close results, can we expect another 3 recounts like after the presidential election?
That's the doomsday scenario right here, right? Is what's happening in Georgia right now, us being the ground zero of disinformation about the presidential election results and all sorts of other issues. If we have a close election in 2 weeks and it's within a few thousand votes or percentage points or so, then we'll have this drawn out, disastrous legal showdown that will just continue to exhaust Georgia voters. And that's why many of the voters I talk to just say, frankly, they hope their side wins, but they want whoever wins to win by a large margin, so we don't have what's happening right now in Georgia play out all over again.
But the reality is that, that is not outside of the realm of possibility that we end up in a similar situation there in Georgia. But I do want to talk about Georgia Governor Brian Kemp. President Trump leveled a number of insults against him for refusing to overturn Georgia's election results. Yet that didn't stop the governor from attending the White House Christmas party Friday. Was the event there in accordance with CDC guidelines, and what has been the reaction?
Yeah, he's gotten some criticism, the Governor Kemp, because just days earlier he said in an interview with me and a few other media outlets how upset he was. He didn't single out President Trump, but he's talked about how upset he was of the pro-Trump conspiracy theorists not only going after him, but going after his family. And then a few days later, he showed up at that Christmas party. Now, his office says that he was wearing a mask, that he was socially distant, except for in those pictures where he was with his daughter, Lucy. And really what had recently happened in Georgia was Lucy's boyfriend, who was like a son to Governor Kemp, died in a tragic car accident. And so the governor wanted to take his daughter, just get out of Georgia, go up to Washington, and get some time away from all the chaos down here. So he got some criticism for it, but frankly, he said, as a father, this is my choice. I wanted to do what I needed to do to get my daughter in a better kind of mental state and away from all the chaos here.
It sounds understandable. Well, Greg Bluestein, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your insight.
Thank you.